state. Actually, he does a lot of great things for this city, and I'm speaking for this city since I'm representing this city. But he's doing a lot of great things. I call him the go-to person for anything that we need, dealing with anything that is taking place, even if it's out of his range of what he does. But this particular unveiling today, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful to Bishop Guillory for bringing this to the City of Compton. So without further ado, because I can stand all day to give you all of his accolades, because he has many. There are many accolades that describe Bishop Guillory. But without further ado, I'd like to present the psalm and introduce to others the person who made this possible, the unveiling today, and that is none other than Bishop L.J. Guillory.
When you're in the trenches, you gotta have some friends. You gotta have some family. Because it's hard to fight by yourself. I thank the Compton Chamber of Commerce for its continued support. The Compton Chamber of Commerce is one of the oldest organizations in the City of Compton. I want to thank Dr. Lestine Johnson and her Chamber of Commerce, her brothers, and all of her supporters for supporting us in this private unveiling. And I just want to let her know that I appreciate her. So thank you very much for the introduction.
Thank you.
I'm Sharif, Mayor of the great City of Compton. Come on up, y'all. Y'all give her some love. She's the mayor, y'all.
I am honored to be with you here today to witness this very special occasion of us celebrating a heroic moment in our history. In 1961, Honorable County Supervisor Kenneth Hahn was the only elected official that was willing to welcome Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. to Los Angeles despite the potential consequences of his controversial decision. This moment in history still resonates deeply within the African American community. This moment in history will continue to remind us the importance of being brave and doing what you know is right.
And then we have two of our other great councilpersons here, and the first district, and she's doing an exemplary job. She's been a public servant for as long as I've been, for a long time. I ain't gonna say how long I've been alive. I'm gonna just tell you, I thank her for being here. Come on up, Councilwoman DeHart, I appreciate you. Come on up.
I represent the fabulous First District. And I just want to say congratulations, and I really appreciate the fact that he is bringing this statue to the City of Compton.
From the 4th District, we're going to bring up...
I am Councilwoman Lily P. Darden, and I represent the 4th District in the great, and I emphasize great, City of Compton. And Councilwoman DeHart said that her district was the fabulous. So I want to let you know that District 4 is the finest.
Chamber of Commerce, the Compton School District, the City of Compton here. I'm going to introduce my trustee and my friend, Barbara Hahn.
This event for the unveiling. This is so important with what is going on around the entire world, not just here. And I just want to say to the ombudsman, Bishop Guillory, we go back a long time. We're talking about Dukes. His daddy used to tell him to leave me alone. His daddy used to tell him to leave me alone. I used to go over their house. His daddy said, leave Barbara alone. And he would have to leave me alone. But we got into fights like sisters and brothers. But this is a very beautiful event. And you're right about Kenny Hahn, Janice Hahn. I served on a board with her. She's regular people. But I thank you for bringing this to the beautiful City of Compton, because we are beautiful in all colors. We are beautiful. And I applaud you for all of your work, Bishop Guillory, that you have been doing, what you have been bringing to Compton, what you have been trying to let us know. We can fight amongst each other, but we're going to come together. And then we're going to fight everybody else, but we're going to fight together and come together with love. And I'd like to...
Thank you so much, Trustee Hahn. Thank you so
much, Bishop Guillory. And it is very important as we think about how humanity values each other, that at the end of the day, that if we can strip someone of their humanity, we can justify doing anything to them. And it's so imperative that as Dr. King and as Kenny Hahn lived, is that no matter the differences, as long as we can recognize the humanity in one another, that is what true inclusion is about. No two people are ever going to be the same or think the same. We're going to have differences. That's the beauty of diversity. But the importance of that diversity is how do we leverage our collective strengths, perspectives, experiences for the good. We should all strive to be like these two gentlemen. They were servant leaders. They were about service to community, service to humanity. And at the end of the day, that's what we are going to be evaluated on. What is our purpose on behalf of others? And so today, Bishop Guillory, I think it is so imperative as you recognize not only them, but the work of being an ombudsman to say that when conflict arises, because that's natural for human beings, how do we navigate that in a way that's most respectful? So thank you so much, and please come and join us.
Thank all of my elected officials. My first time seeing this.
Wow. It's that hard work. That hard work pays off.
It is always my pleasure to make my parents proud. Come on in here. This is my brother. Come on, you. Where's the shot? What do you got? Right here. And anybody who's seen the last election will realize that the Hahn family is still loved in the state of California. Get us on, please. I love you.
Bishop, thank you so much for today. I'm not sure I really ever thought it was going to happen. I mean, it was a dream of yours. Talk about I have a dream.
Right.
You had a dream. Wasn't real sure it was going to happen, but to be here today and seeing it for the first time.
Wow.
It's so perfect. But this statue is a moment. It's a moment in time. That is a moment in time. And how appropriate that it is here in Compton, how appropriate that it is facing an airport. Because that moment was an airport. It was Los Angeles International Airport. In the early 60s, when Dr. King first came to visit Los Angeles, later that evening he was supposed to preach at Victory Baptist. And the preacher wanted someone to greet Dr. King, somebody official, make him feel welcome. Now, this was in the height of the Civil Rights Movement in the South. This is when we were all watching on TV at night, right? The kids being hosed down by the city fire department. Well, the day didn't end there. The day didn't end there. Right? They had some time to kill. father represented Watts, drove him around Watts, showed him his district. They still had a little more time to kill. Took him up to his office in downtown Los Angeles, the Hall of Administration, which is now named for my father, Kenneth Hahn Hall of Administration. Took him in his office, sat him down, gave him a cup of coffee, and then the two of them began to talk. And Dr. King told my father of his hopes and his dreams for our country. And he talked about, wouldn't it be great if someday, you know, the children could play together, the adults could work together, we wouldn't judge each other by the color of our skin, but by who we were. So they had several hours together. And when my father came home that night, he was so impressed with Dr. King. He'd never met him before. And I was a young girl, a teenager, and my father talked about what an impressive man Dr. King was. And then later, when we heard Dr. King give his "I Have a Dream" speech, my father said, "I remember." After the Watts riots in 1965, the McComb Commission did that report on what was the root causes of that uprising. Right? They had a whole report. One of the first items was lack of access to health care. The people in Watts did not have a hospital. They did not have a health clinic. They had to travel all the way downtown to the county big general for their health care. Many of them died, not necessarily because of their injury or their illness, because of how far they had to travel just to get basic health care. And many of them would tell you years later that they would take mini buses to get downtown, and then sometimes they couldn't see a doctor. And what did they have to do? They had to go back home and come back the next day. So the first thing my father fought for was to build a hospital. And it was a big fight because the rest of the county didn't always believe that that part of LA County deserved the same things that everybody else had. But my father fought and built that hospital. They weren't sure what they were going to name it. And then tragedy struck our country, and Dr. King was assassinated when he was in Memphis supporting workers. My father called Coretta Scott King, and he said, I love it that he could find his phone number.
Right.
He's like, Mrs. King, I don't think you know who I am, but if it's okay with you, I'd like to name this hospital in Watts after your husband. And she stopped him. This is where I cry. She stopped him and she said, "Oh no, I know who you are. Because when my Martin came home, he couldn't stop talking about the white official that was so kind." And that moment for our family meant so much. And we have told this story over and over again. When I met Martin Luther King III, when I was a member of Congress, I always wanted to see if my dad told the same story that maybe they heard. Because you never know. And he said, "Oh no, our family grew up hearing that story and hearing about your father and his kindness." And sometimes you have to do something that you know is right, even if it's not popular, even if you're going to be criticized for it. And that statue depicting that moment, I believe, has shaped me as an elected official. And I want to believe that fast forward many years later to about 2020, when Lewis's Beach came to my knowledge. I want to say that that moment and that lesson made me say, I think the right thing is to give this property back to its rightful owners. So the fact that this statue is here today depicting that moment in history, it shaped Dr. King's family, I'm sure it shaped Kenny Hahn's family, and it's just a beautiful tribute it's a beautiful tribute to unity, to the ability to work together, the ability to find what we have in common. We have so much more in common than we do that divides us, and that statue in that moment says it all. Thank you, Bishop.
I think it's imperative that we have this remembrance, that it can provide us guidance and also give us a template for how, despite certain circumstances, racial differences, any form of identity difference, that we need to respect. We will always, as human beings, have differences of thought and perspectives, but those differences do not have to be divisive.
Together, become one, and everybody is entitled to their own opinions, religion, and we just need to respect one another's opinions. So this event today, like I say, we need to promote love, strength, and working together and treat everybody as we would treat our own selves.
Entire nation. Right now, we're suffering a crisis, and Kenny was the epitome of the best racial relations. He saw no color lines. And we keep talking about equity and inclusion. Well, let's be that. Let's be equity and inclusion and set another great example here in the city of Compton.
We need to be able to embrace unity, embrace diversity, embrace each other. You know, not looking at race, color, creed, but looking at each other as people trying to do the right thing for the right reasons.
Scandal that just happened with the unnecessary ignorant comments made by the City of Los Angeles council members. This is such a befitting thing to do today, to unveil this statue of a man that understood the importance of unity, that understood the importance of reaching across the aisle to communicate with people, the importance of extending an olive branch.
When they look at this, you don't see race in this. You don't see race in this statue. You see unity. You see togetherness, and I think it builds our community up even more. We see two men of two different ethnicities coming together, and they both were unifiers, one of a city and one of a nation.
So let me say this. This is Compton. This is Compton. We're at the Los Angeles County Airport. This is Compton. And the reason why we did the unveiling today like this with you elected officials, because this statue belongs to you.